Mahjoob Zweiri is a professor of contemporary Middle East politics at Qatar University, joining us now live from Doha. Thank you, Professor, for taking the time to talk to us here on the News Hour. I want to start off where I actually left off with Nizar, the situation there at the Rafah border crossing. The Israelis are now in control of the Palestinian side. But what does that mean, though? I mean, do they have to now stay there until the war is over, or can they just hand it back to Hamas when they're done with their operations in the area?
What is clear so far that Netanyahu's government has nothing on the table but continuing the military operation and attack Rafah. That is what appears so far. What is happening now from last night, I think it is a tool to pressure Hamas rather than a serious operation, because they wanted, as they indicated themselves, the government and the Israeli army, that they want to put more pressure on Hamas so they get the hostage out. They knew now we started the 8th month, that this have not succeeded. And actually, no, the captives still in Gaza, and Israelis is losing day by day the momentum, which basically what is next? Because what's happening now has lacked the important thing, which is what is the strategic achievement out of that? What Israel will achieve out of that? There is nothing clear for the army, nothing clear to the politicians. There is one thing clear, is destruction and killing the civilians.
Well, now that they're actually in control of the Rafah border crossing, we know that they're launching operations, at least in the eastern sides of Rafah, putting pressure on Hamas, as you said. Well, Hamas did say yes last night to this proposed deal. Why is there no yes from the Israeli side?
You know, what is clear to us as an expert and observer in the last 6 months, from I think day 2, there was an option on the table to Netanyahu's government that Hamas is ready to release all civilians and stop the operation against Gaza. Netanyahu did reject that. In the second week, there was another proposal as well to when they start attacking Gaza, that they are ready to release civilians and women, children. And he rejected that. It was obvious that Netanyahu has an aim, has a goal, which basically from day one, he wanted to make sure that Hamas is no longer threatening Israeli security. Having said that, he has failed so far to do so, because still until last night, when Hamas accepted the deal, they sent the rockets from northern Gaza, where Israelis, they said they cleaned it from Gaza, from Hamas fighters. They sent actually rockets to the different cities in Gaza, northern Gaza. So basically, Netanyahu is losing the momentum of proving anything on the ground, but one thing is actually continuation of destruction and the killing of the civilians.
Now, there are reports in Israeli media that negotiators are in fact on their way to Cairo to continue these truce talks, these ceasefire talks. The U.S. were saying the ball is in Hamas court. Hamas has to say yes. Well, they did say yes last night. Do you think that the U.S. will put the same pressure on Israel now, saying the ball's in Israel's court, say yes to the deal?
I would argue, if I am on the American shoes, I would be very frustrated and upset, because if they have a normal human feeling as a politicians, after all of what they have done, sending the director of CIA, putting all of these efforts, calling Netanyahu, and getting the approval of Hamas, and getting the approval of Hamas of something already suggested by the Israelis to a large extent. And I'm sure the White House, the people around the Biden administration, they should be frustrated, and they should think of why Netanyahu is doing all of this. From day one, I was saying on different media interviews that this is the Netanyahu war. This is not an Israeli war. This is not an American war. This is a Netanyahu war. And I think if the administration, Biden administration, should come to the conclusion saying, okay, do they want to continue following Netanyahu, and they want actually to lead, to act as a leader of the world and put serious pressure on Netanyahu and saying enough is enough. And I think what we have seen so far, there is lack of leadership. Unfortunately, there is lack of leadership in terms of, they have the tools, they have the military aid to Israelis. They could use it. They have the political support. They have the financial support. They have a lot of cards in hand, but there is no willingness and there is no desire to use all of this, maybe for the election purposes, maybe lack of leadership, maybe all of that.
All right, Professor Zweiri from Qatar University, thank you so much for your insights here on TRT World.